right, and it is 12:02. So we will get started again. I will remind everyone who's joined us, thank you all so much for participating today. Tim Boyer with Department of Public Works for Placer County will be presenting. At the end of his presentation, we will have an opportunity for questions. There are a few other folks who you may see as panelists, other public works staff, as well as a member of the U.S. Forest Service that Tim may look to for questions as well. And again, if you do have a question, you are welcome to put it in the chat or the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. After Tim's presentation, we will also invite folks to share any live questions or comments. So at that point, we'll ask you to raise your hand. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. And Tim, I would say take it away. Are you able to see the PowerPoint?
Yes, can see it all. Thank you everyone for attending. My name is Tim Boyer with Placer County Public Works, Tahoe Engineering Division in Kings Beach. Been working on the North Tahoe Recreation Access Plan since 2019. And little background on the project is Placer County developed the plan in 2021. That's when it was completed. This plan was funded by the California State Parks OHV grant with matching funding coming from TRPA air mitigation funds. The NIPRAP was developed to provide public agencies with a valuable resource tool for planning, maintaining, and developing existing and future year-round recreational access areas for a range of user groups in the North Lake Tahoe Truckee regions. The Lower Sawtooth Trailhead is the first project site selected for improvements per recommendations contained in the NIPRAP. The county was successful in obtaining a grant through the North Tahoe Community Alliance's TOT TBID Dollars at Work program in the amount of $250,000 with matching dollars coming from Placer County TRPA water and air mitigation funds in the amount of $60,000. The conceptual plan that you see on this slide was developed back in 2020 and was just a real quick conceptual idea when we were looking at this trailhead back in 2020, like I said. And what's shown here kind of mimics what you'll see in some future photos coming up here. Any questions on the background here? On to the next slide, please. So you're going to give you a project status on the Lower Sawtooth Trailhead Improvement Project. The Lower Sawtooth Trailhead Improvement Project currently at 80% design. Draft plans and specs are scheduled to be completed end of October. Currently, we are working with the U.S. Forest Service, Tahoe National Forest, to complete special use permit and incorporate comments into design. Final plans and specs to be completed end of November. Procurement, risk management, and board of supervisor review to be completed end of February 2025. Project is scheduled to go out to bid and awarded in March. Proposed construction scheduled for mid-April to first part of May 2025, pending weather and snowpack conditions. So I've included a few photos here. This left-hand column is the U.S. Forest Service 06. This is 2019. Early winter photo, pre-Big Jack project, as the residents know. The thinning project was called Big Jack. And this just shows the limited access going into the 06 from Thielen. The left-hand side of this is the county-owned parcel, which was the only existing parking that was going on there. And the looker's right is the Forest Service property. And then going down into Spring Melt, looking out towards Thielen to the north, showing the past seasonal gate closure that has been relocated. And now the middle column is post Big Jack and existing conditions, showing the parking created on the U.S. Forest Service end of things, which has about 8 stalls, and the existing Placer County portion of the project, Looker's Right, which is a mixed surface of old pavement and dirt, and then a early season photo showing going into winter with the Forest Service stalls shown on the right-hand side, and the new Forest Service sign installed stating, "Hey, Sawtooth Recreation Area." The right-hand column shows some of the maintenance needs and some of the things we're addressing with this project. And the upper photo is a spring melt. Believe this is in 2023, just showing unplowed surface, kind of difficult driving into this area. And at this point, the seasonal gate is closed. It's about 200 yards, 200 feet up this parking area. And then we have our existing summer photo from this summer showing unpaved surfaces, dirt parking, the potholes going on there. We're seeing erosion coming down from upper 06 and causing erosion and deposition into the county maintained surfaces and drainage swales in the Thielen right-of-way. So kind of talk about the scope of the project, and it's constructing and implementing improvements recommended in the North Tahoe Recreation Access Plan at the existing lower Sawtooth Trailhead. The goals of the project are creating year-round access opportunities by paving all-weather surfaces, improving the water quality by reducing erosion, constructing runoff treatment systems, mitigate off-site parking on vegetated habitats with vehicle barricades, reduce traffic-related concerns for vehicles and pedestrians on Thielen Drive, promote responsible trail use and stewardship by installing new interpretive kiosks, and then create maintainable and sustainable infrastructure and facilities. And this is really our 80% design for the site plan, showing what we're proposing out here. I'm just going to go through the legend key over here, which is number 1, which is paving these dirt surfaces and grading them out and sloping them into a drainage feature going into a rock line channel. And then number 2 is provide AB shoulders on these paved surfaces. Number 3 is relocating existing log barricade, which is creating a dam at the moment, forcing the runoff down the 06 and onto this parking structure area, then continuing its way on down into the shoulders into Thielen. But we saw some pretty good erosion happen there this August with that thunderstorm event that rolled through. Proposing rock line channel, AC Park, creating a rock line swale to reduce erosion, and that's really our water treatment system at the entrance there. Providing rock barricades to limit folks parking, especially on the Forest Service end of things. Folks are parking right up to the limits of the existing trees, so trying to create a little bit of buffer with those rocks. And I just don't know how long these rock barricades or the existing log barricades are going to last through decomposition. So we've kind of switched it up from relocating the logs to putting in a little bit more harder structures that should last a little bit longer. And then we're proposing installing a new kiosk and replacing the old one just at the existing relocated gate going up the 06. one thing I've heard out there is Thielen and safety issues on Thielen Drive, proposing to reinforce the November 1 to May 1 no parking ordinance that we have. But as most local residents know, we do have parking on Thielen with pedestrians and vehicles, creating some issues and concerns for people using Thielen Drive, especially in the winter. So we're going to try to reinforce that parking situation and then get people parking in this 15 stall parking area. So I think that kind of sums it up. And like I said, that was about 80% design on that one. And just kind of open it up to questions and answers at this time.
Thanks, Tim. And it does look like we have a few questions. So Bill Suen, I'm going to allow you to talk. If you unmute yourself, you can ask your question, Bill.
Hey, Tim, this is Bill Swen. I live about a block from this parking area, and so I'm pretty familiar with it. A couple questions. On your site plan, you showed that there's that connector trail from the parking lot that leads to the Sawtooth trail system. Right now, you have parking right up against the entrance of the trail. Currently, that's how it is, and that I always see people try to ride around the car and then the boulder, and it's kind of comical. You could just watch them catch a pedal and crash and fall. So I was wondering if you might be able to like shift one of those non-parking spaces over to where the trail actually connects to the parking lot and make it a little easier for riders and stuff to access. So one comment on the site plan I had.
Yes, Bill, and I know you've worked on the knit wrap, correct? You're LSC traffic engineer. Yeah, hi, Bill.
Hey.
So yes, you're absolutely right. That trail connecting in the middle, that is something which will be in discussions with the U.S. Forest Service, and we're tentatively would like to propose shifting that over to the southern parking stall, and rerouting that, and fully agree with bikes and pads, especially the bikes, trying to maneuver through that parking stall mid parking area. So it has been identified, and in the initial knit wrap, it shows in that conceptual drawing, it shows trail reroute to the south.
Okay, great. Next would be, have you considered snowmobile trailers? They park up and down Thielen, and it could get almost all the way down to Silver Fir at points. And I don't think the parking lot can accommodate trailers like that. And so you're going to have people showing up and trying to park on Thielen still, and they're going to get tickets. And I don't really care personally, because I don't have a snowmobile trailer. And my friends that do snowmobile, they often park in my driveway and ride from here. But I just know that's going to probably be an issue.
You're absolutely correct. And the snowmobile thing, I know a lot of it's in-house. They're riding up and down the roads, Placer County roads, or out of their backyards to access the Sawtooth area currently. The initial knit wrap identified Sawtooth as a potential area for expanded parking for trailers. And that's shown in that first slide on the conceptual, hey, potential future trailer parking. That is really Forest Service property, and quite a bit of disturbance. And what this project is looking at currently is improving on what is existing already and not expanding the limits at this time. We're hoping that we have more sled decks than trailers. And that'll be yet to be seen, and they wouldn't fit in the Placer County portion, and that portion would be more on that U.S. Forest Service side. It is a OHV designated road, the 06. So it's how to come up with how to balance those uses out as we move forward. But as we know, people are already driving in there with sled decks, and as you mentioned, parked on Thielen, and that's part of the reinforcement with the no parking signs on Thielen is just to try to reduce those conflicts, especially with those bigger trailer setups.
Yeah, overall, I think this is a great thing to pave that, parking lot, make it a better surface so that, we can get some snow removal in there and all. The last comment I have is, with the closing of the Donkeytown trails this year, the traffic on my street has probably increased like fourfolds. I didn't actually do a count, but that's just my gut feel. Um, and I'm not too much of a NIMBY, and I don't mind people coming driving past my house. And there's been a few dogs and cats killed. No children yet, so that's good. And is there any like mitigation plans or traffic calming plans for the potential increase in use when the trailhead is like nice in the wintertime and there's going to be more traffic? I don't know, spot. I know people have been interested in that along my street. Ryan Decker from Placer County worked on a traffic calming plan for a while, but that never went forward. But I know my neighbors they're gonna ask me.
So we continue to do the traffic assessments on Silver Fir. We've been deploying some of the radar signs out there, collecting data. I'm not sure what that data currently looks like. We have mitigated some of Silver Fir with the white striping and narrowed down the road surface there.
That was very helpful.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, there's some mixed feelings about that. With that, the Jackass and Trailhead closed for the thinning project, I have heard some increase in use and traffic there. Anticipate that will be potentially calming down as people migrate back there. I think it's opening soon, but next year it should be open. And I think that would be probably a Forest Service comment in terms of what the status is with that project over there at Jackass and some sort of timeline for opening that, which might alleviate some of the demand over here on the Sawtooth that's been happening.
Oh, great. Overall, I think this is a great project you guys are doing. And look forward to seeing a nice new parking lot.
Thank you, Bill.
See you, Tim.
Thanks, Bill. And we don't have any other hands raised right now. So if anyone else has a live question, feel free to raise your hand. I'm going to go. We've had a few questions in the Q&A section. There was a question just confirming asking, will there be the parking plowed during the winter? Tim, can you again just speak to the plan for winter usage here?
So that is one of the major goals here with the North Tahoe Recreation Access Plan is year-round access at our trailheads, which is currently really lacking, and our options are very limited at the moment. The plan is to plow this surface so folks aren't getting stuck in there. They're not getting stuck on the berm, and then the alternative is parking on Thielen. So yes, the proposal is to plow it in the winter. We haven't quite figured out the funding there, but it wouldn't be this year, obviously. This would be 2025, 2026 winter, and looking for either partnering up with nonprofits to provide that. I know the Tahoe Backcountry Alliance has provided plowing, I believe, over at the Donner Lake Lake Run site for the winter. There might be some opportunities like that, or see some additional funding, seasonal funding through, I'll say, the North Tahoe Community Alliance or other grant opportunities that might exist out there. But we're anticipating maybe a contract up where maybe 5,000 to 8,000 to plow out that parking area, and just making sure whoever does plow it has the right piece of equipment, and looking at some sort of rotary to to preserve that surface and not destroy the improvements that we're putting in.
Thank you, Tim. I'm going to go to another written question, and then Kathy, will go to you next live. A question on if you can comment on potentially adding a stop sign when folks leave Lower Sawtooth. Is that in the plans, or has that been contemplated?
We've been discussing that idea. That would really have to go through traffic engineering down in Auburn, and they would assess if that is warranted. I have checked the sign logs through the county to confirm, I guess, rumors at this point that there used to be a stop sign. Our county logs, our current logs do not show the existence of a stop sign there. We've discussed putting in, the common stop bar, but it is something on the list and have been discussing it the last few weeks with some of my coworkers here. I am looking at that because it comes in at an oblique angle there, not a true 90. The sight distance is a little tight, especially looking up Thielen, coming out Looker's Right, and looking to continue to try to thin out some of the small saplings in there and some of the roadside willows that are there to create a better line of sight, but have observed folks not yielding as you would expect, and we'll work on exploring stop sign, stop bar, or a combination of a few other ideas.
Thank you. All right, Kathy, you have your hand raised. I'm allowing you to talk. If you want to unmute yourself, Kathy, you can ask your question.
Thanks very much. Hi, Tim and Lindsay. My name is Kathy Murphy. I live on Sawtooth Court, and I appreciate your comments. First of all, I appreciate the project. I think it's a good project. It's important to get access to the public lands for the public to enjoy. I think it's got a lot of great benefits. The stop sign, yeah, I think there's a lot of residents concerned about that. What's a stop bar? I don't know what that is.
That would just be the white line on the pavement surface that you would find at a common stop sign intersection.
Oh, yeah. That probably wouldn't work very well just because of all the dirt and stuff that comes off of there. Well, I guess if you're going to pave it, maybe it won't be so much dirt, but appreciate you looking into that, because that is really a safety issue people coming out of there onto Thielen, and your site plan shows it very well that it's not a 90-degree angle. It's kind of like people just kind of keep going straight, don't even look right a lot of the time. So thanks for that. And then I wanted a little clarification on the parking mitigation on Thielen. I heard you say something about, putting up some signs for the November to May, which I think is great. Are there any other mitigations planned? Are you going to be looking, at enforcement? I guess my concern is this potentially could be drawing a lot more people, and then, we're trying to get people off of Thielen, and we could still have the same problem that we do now because we're drawing more people. So, is enforcement going to be increased, especially in the beginning? I mean, that works. We've out as neighbors seen when there's enforcement, people quit parking there.
Yeah, so as you know, coming in off Ponderosa and all of our major collector streets have the November 1st to May 1 parking ordinance sign. They're the big signs, the big yellow and white ones that you see coming into all of our neighborhoods in the area. And these signs that we're proposing on Thielen around the entrance here would be a smaller version of that. I was just discussing that with my deputy director in terms of how do we get these signs up, and just to reinforce the November 1 to May 1 no parking. And we have this summer increased our parking management program around the area, and one of those components is increased parking enforcement. And so there may be better presence in the future here, and kind of getting back to how how you were afraid to park on the road because you were going to get tickets. So we're trying to trend towards that to improve our snow removal operations, but also improve safety on the shoulders and with trying to enforce this no parking.
Thank you. That I appreciate that. And, because, you and I have talked about how when people park on the road, it's one lane in the winter and you can't see going in either direction on that line curve. So it's definitely a safety issue. So appreciate you looking into that. And my last question, is there going to be any advertising about this project? In other words, to be trying to draw more people, or because there's still, it sounds like you'll be increasing the parking there, which is great. There's still going to be people coming, and I'm just wondering if this will bring more people if we're advertising.
The advertisement piece is, I think one of the main goals is this is the first projects that we're taking on in the North Tahoe Recreation Plan. There's 20 sites identified in that plan, of which we've pared it down to a top 10. And those sites are spread out everywhere. So we're really trying to spread out use. And I think an idea here is we're kind of creating micro nodes, hopefully for local neighborhoods, especially in the winter, which is really lacking to go out and park. Those who live on that interface where they can ski out their backyard or snowshoe, that's great, or snowmobile, that's great. But for those who live several blocks away, this will be a good opportunity to go be able to park and access. We're actually decreasing the parking by one stall. So there's 15 stalls out there, and we're actually decreasing it by approximately one, just dimensionally. It just doesn't work on one of them. So we're still maintaining and improving just what the existing limits are. And this Saturday, we're going to have that open house, I'll say, Saturday morning at 10. And I encourage folks to come on down. We can, kick the dirt and really look at where these limits are going to be, and which is following existing and what's parked on now. No creation of additional parking is being proposed.
And the advertising sounds like maybe we're not sure about that.
No, I think it's well known. I think the advertisement, if you really look at it in terms of a kind of a mountain biker, I'm always using that Trail Forks or Strava, and I think you're always going to have people looking for new things, but just the fact that these apps are showing where you can go already, I think it's already kind of creating that demand, or hey, let's go try this new area. And I'm not how that is going to be advertised. I don't have really any intentions of advertising this. It's already existing and known. We're just improving what's existing. So we don't know if this is actually going to increase demand, but I think the capacity will kind of eliminate that demand because there's 15 parking stalls that are available. So we're not talking about 30, 40, 50 parking lot situation.
Well, thank you. And thanks for all the time and effort you're putting into this and the outreach to the community. We really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you very much, Kathy. And again, if anyone has any additional comments or questions you'd like to ask live, feel free to raise your hand. We did get 2 more in our Q&A. There was a question, a comment of they have noticed that some patchwork has been done on Thieland and Silver Fir, and then a question if there's a plan to resurface both roads. It was this commenter's understanding there had been discussion when the Big Jack East project was completed that there would be an assessment of resurfacing once the main project was done and the trucks were out. So Tim, I don't know if you can speak to any plans on resurfacing work on Thieland or Silver Fir.
So just to clarify, I know the 06 has two monster potholes in there, and people are driving around that. Is the question Thielen and Silver Fir of resurfacing?
Correct.
Okay, so no, not at this moment. I would say those surfaces are probably some of the better roads we do have in Eastern Placer. And so at this point, I believe those are not included in a 5-year plan. And there's roads in the region that are in need of some attention, I'll say. And just me driving around in Eastern Placer quite a bit, representing most of the right-of-way issues. Those surfaces in the Sierra Meadows area are fair to good in comparison to some of the other roads. But I'll look at that and see and confirm the 5-year plan. But I believe we actually slurry sealed that Sierra Meadows. I believe maybe 8 years ago we did a type 2 slurry seal.
Thank you. There was also a question if there will be any garbage cans provided at the new parking area.
No garbage cans are proposed in the development of the North Tahoe Recreation Access Plan. That was a question that came up a lot, was garbage, and it's a lot of mixed feelings and opinions on providing garbage enclosures, because we've been managing areas that do, and people are stuffing them or leaving their garbage on the side. And the consensus out there was no garbage cans, and pack it in, pack it out kind of concept, and getting people to be responsible for their garbage. And I believe, and maybe Casey has comments on this, but I think this upper Sawtooth, I'm not sure if there's garbage collection up there, but I don't recall that. I think that was part of the project, no garbage enclosures. It just adds another, I think, another component of maintenance, which is probably 7 days a week with garbage, and making sure that people aren't depositing that garbage on the outside. And it just only takes a few bad bags where the chutes are no longer functional, and then people have a tendency to leave their garbage on the side. So at this point, we're opting not to install bear-proof garbage receptacles.
And Casey, I did see you come up, and I don't know if you wanted to provide any comments.
Thank you, Lindsay. No, I don't have anything extra to add to that. I think Tim's right on the money there. I do think our person visiting on Saturday might have something to comment on trash cans over near Sawtooth. I do not have any insight on that one to myself. Thank you.
If anything's come there, it would be.
Thank you, Casey. And Casey is with the U.S. Forest Service, so providing additional comment. And just to remind folks, Tim mentioned there is this open house on Saturday at 10 a.m. So that is open to anyone who's participating in this meeting, if you'd like, and anyone else who's not participating. So if you do have additional questions or want to see the site with Tim and the U.S. Forest Service, you are welcome to head out there. Another question online, Tim, you've kind of already spoken to this a little bit, but a question on if there's increased winter usage, anything being looked at to, mitigate the impacts in the neighborhood. And I think you spoke to, the enhanced parking enforcement that the county has been doing, and maybe supporting in this area. Is there anything else just related to winter specifically you'd want to speak to?
Yeah, I think the dynamics have changed significantly out there at the entrance to the 06. Pre 2021, that used to be a seasonal gate closure about 20 feet in, 30 feet in from the edge of pavement, edge of road. that would stack up with folks parked up against the gate, then overflowing into Thielen. That post Big Jack configuration created the additional parking, but with that, the gate was relocated. I think it's 250 feet up from Thielen. The gate has been relocated, and so that opportunity has been open now. I'm going to say 3 years of folks being able to access those 15 parking stalls. And I kind of look at it as low tide or how is that snowpack, and it's really dependent on the snowpack in the winter. And so what we're seeing is use in the beginning when people can drive in there, it becomes packed down and icy. But as we go a little bit further into the winter, that snow berm is increased, and we see people getting stuck on that snow berm or getting up and over the snow berm only to be stuck in the parking lot. There's a lot of remnants of tree and use of whatever they can get their hands on to get their vehicles out. So the parking area is looking to, with the paving, is be able to plow that and provide maintainable and sustainable parking. Right now, because it's not plowed and it's dirt, it's not maintainable and it's not sustainable, but it is open to parking, I'll say, especially on the shoulder seasons, fall and spring, when that snow is just starting and when it starts melting out.
Thank you, Tim. And just a reminder to anyone, if you have any other live questions, you can raise your hand and we can call on you. I don't see any hands raised at this time. There was kind of a suggestion, maybe a question, Tim, regarding garbage cans. Is any signage being considered about pack it in, pack it out sort of signage to remind folks of that?
That is the intent with the new kiosk, is promoting that responsible trail use and stewardship. And we just haven't got down to those conversations with the U.S. Forest Service yet, and potentially some of the local trail groups in terms of messaging on that new kiosk. But that's a pretty standard messaging on these kiosks that you see that are new. And that's the hope, is to be able to spread that word through this kiosk.
Thank you. All right, and I still do not see any hands raised. We'll give everyone a few more seconds, and while we do that, if any other questions have come up, Tim, can you just share again the information on Saturday if folks do want to join you?
Sure, Lindsay. That it's going to be this Saturday, October 5th, 10 a.m. We'll be out there for an hour or however long it takes to answer questions and go through it. I'll be bringing the oversized site map, and we'll be pointing at that, and probably a few limited copies of the PowerPoint that was shown earlier.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tim. So this is last call. If anyone has any last pending questions, do you have right now? Otherwise, again, you can join Tim out there on Saturday. We got a thank you in the Q&A. So thank you, Tim. Really appreciate, Tim, you providing this opportunity to the public. And thank you to all the public who participated today. We appreciate your comments and questions. Casey, did you have any parting thoughts you want to share with the group?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for joining today. And just to clarify, I am the permit administrator, so I've been working with Tim just to kind of coordinate the Forest Service side. If anybody does have any questions or comments for me or for me to pass along to the forest, you have my email there. I'd be happy to share. That's it for me. Thank you.
Tim, anything else?
Yeah, thanks for attending. I'm really excited that we're able to kind of get one of these projects moving forward, because it's been a 5-year process, and there's a lot of them out there, and this is just kind of accessing, I'll say the inner resort triangle. We're always using this resort triangle terminology, and I've been calling it how do we gain access to the inner resort triangle, which is all of our great trail systems out there. So I'm excited to kind of get this thing moving here in beginning of next spring, 2025. And yeah, thank you for all attending, and hope to see you Saturday.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Tim, for your hard work and your team. And again, Saturday, they will be available. We've also recorded this presentation, and we will share it online on the Placer County website if you missed anything. So thank you all. We appreciate your time, and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.